Okay, who's first?
The team's tackling numbers have been good the last 3 weeks coming out of the bye. I'm curious what you attribute that to.
Just better overall play by the whole defense. You know, we had in some of those earlier games, running backs getting through the second, third level too easily, and those are hard tackles. You know, I just think we've played better overall.
I know you guys have changed up the practice elements of tackling. Has that helped at all?
Yeah, anytime you emphasize something and practice it, it's going to get better.
On that fourth down play, where Cooper got sort of scraped over the top and looked like they were trying to out-leverage him, how rare is it for a rookie to be able to diagnose that type of thing?
Well, he did a good job of keeping his eyes on it. He's had that play in practice, you know, in the last few weeks with guys trying to, you know, mess with you with the motion and get your eyes off him. He did a good job keeping his eyes on him the entire time, and that's really what allowed him to make the play.
Getting the two takeaways, I know you've been close, like in a couple of the previous games. Like how much of a difference does that make, and can that kind of snowball, do you think?
Makes a huge difference. I mean, you know, those last three drives, not counting the last one, but, you know, the fourth down stop is like a takeaway. The interception and then the quick fumble. I mean, 3 series get stopped right away and has a huge effect on everything, both defense's confidence to make a play like that, field position for the offense. You know, I believe it was just a seven-point game on the fourth down stop, and all of a sudden we have the ball already in field goal range. So huge. They're huge plays.
As a coach, what part of the interception did you most appreciate?
It was a great play by Isaiah, you know, against a really good receiver and a really good quarterback. He got his hand on the ball. He didn't panic. A lot of times guys panic when the ball's up in the air like that on a deep ball. He didn't panic, got his hand on it, and luckily Chauncey was there to, you know, to get the lollipop.
You said that's something you drilled, that type of play?
Well, yeah, that's something that corners have to be able to master, playing those deep balls.
Zach and Nakobe, and you've mentioned how little experience they both have at that position. What have you seen from their growth from maybe the start of camp or even OTAs till now, individually and as a unit?
Yeah, I think they're both getting better and better each and every week. You know, in Zach's case, especially, he's never played inside linebacker, so this whole season is new to him. Nakobe played it in college, although didn't play much his first 2 years. So as far as just being on ILB, Nakobe actually has more experience. But I think they've both done a good job of growing in the position. I think Bobby's done a really good job coaching them, and they're getting better and better.
Were you worried at all about this team's defensive depth at the start of the season, and have some of those concerns been allayed through what you've seen?
I mean, every team has its depth issues. It's hard to have quality backups everywhere. You hope you have them at some places. And when we've had the call on guys, they've come in and done a nice job.
When it comes to in-game adjustments, you know, how much of that narrative is true, and how much is it just, you know, really more just a product of you switching to whatever defenses you have at your disposal based upon what you're seeing offensively?
Yeah, I mean, when you say in-game adjustments, I think they don't have to be drastic stuff, you know, to where you draw something up on the sideline and put something totally new in. It's just, you know, shifting gears as to how you're playing a certain team, you know, whether it be because you're having trouble or whether it be because, you know, just to give them different looks. So the adjustments are ongoing. Some of them are through the normal flow of the game. Some of them are because you're having trouble. And some of them are because you don't want to get too tendency in what you're doing yourself.
Speaking of depth, I know they're more in the background, but what have you seen lately from Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks? What have you noticed?
Yeah, Keely's came in one of the games recently and did well in his few plays. He's been practicing good, so feel very confident about him. Eli hadn't had any action, I don't believe, in the regular season so far, but in training camp had a nice camp. And if he has to suit up and be ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
When it comes to the younger players in general, and they're growing and getting better, how much of that is them being more comfortable with the scheme versus you figuring out what they do best?
Yeah, probably more of the first part than the second, but that's part of it too. So I would say 75-25.
Vic, with the trade deadline coming up, is there any position that you're advocating for, or want to see a move at?
No.
So you feel good about the kind of state of the roster defensively then?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to improve your team drastically this time of year. I mean, I think if you look at some of those trades over the years, they really haven't had the effect that some teams were hoping for. Unless it's a trade that, where you're getting a guy that you're going to have for a few years, where it's more of a bigger trade than swapping guys, trading a sixth for a seventh, those type things.
It seems you're seeing a lot of empty this year. What's the key in combating that?
Yeah, it's hard. They spread you out. It makes the game more one-on-one-ish. The ball usually comes out quicker. And it tests your ability. It really does.
It seems like you've kind of settled into a nice rotation at edge rusher. What kind of impresses you about like that group as a whole? And then do you see Jalix Hunt kind of mixing his way in there, as the season goes on?
Yeah, that's possible that he could mix his way in there. But I think the group overall plays well. They take pride in their performance both as individuals and as the unit. And I think Wash does a good job with them, and especially rotating them during the game. And I think overall the unit's playing good.
When it comes to the guy with the green dot that your calling plays into, is it just as simple as him relaying what you said, or is there a skill set that's involved with that? And does N'Kobe have anything that sets him apart from other guys that you've had that relationship with?
Yeah, some guys are more comfortable with it. There's been some players in the league that don't want it. They want somebody else to handle it and get the call. They don't want the added burden of it. N'Kobe likes doing it. When we do go to 6 DBs and Bond stays in the game, he does it. Now, when he does it, it has to be more through signals because you can't have two of them. But if we know N'Kobe's not going to, like at the 2-minute drive at the half the other day, which only turned out to be 2 plays, we put it in Zach's helmet because we went to dime.
And when signs are being sent in, who does it from the sideline? Who you really?
Bobby King.
Bobby, and then Bobby gets.
Yeah.
How important do you think Christian Parker is to the level that you're getting from the 2 rookies?
Very important. I think he does a good job with them. Does a good job in the meetings, spends individual time with them in his office, which helps with a lot of guys. He's doing an excellent job with them for sure.
You mentioned the trade deadline with players, maybe not matching up to what teams wanted or needed out of them. It sounds like you've studied that a little bit. Why don't you think that performance comes that quickly?
Well, I mean, each and every case is different, obviously. Sometimes the guys come in with no prior relationship with the coaches and everything's totally new. I think if the guy had been with you somewhere along the line and has system knowledge and comfortability, that helps. Every scenario is a little different. Every position's a little different too.
You've made the point that you're a youngish defense since the beginning. Have any of those young guys surprised you beyond what you expected?
Young guy. Not really. Q's done well since we got him here. We thought he was going to be a good player when we drafted him, and he's been that since we got him. Really didn't know much about Cooper because he missed all the training camp, didn't know what it would look like when he got out there. He's done well these last couple weeks. Jalix hadn't gotten much playing time. But, Nolan's done well and keeps improving. Who else we talking about there?
Kobe's kind of still.
Yeah, just more playing time is these guys will naturally improve.
You mentioned the positions are different when you're bringing guys in. What positions do you think defensively are a little easier? Which ones are a little harder for guys to come in and be able to contribute right away?
ILB's probably a little harder. Safety's a little harder. Maybe corner's a little easier, maybe depending upon how you're playing. Maybe D-line a little easier, again, depending upon how you're playing.
You faced Trevor Lawrence as a.
You guys can look. In the first press conference back in camp, you said you had no problems playing rookies if they were worthy of playing. What indicators did you look for early on that shows they're worthy?
Just their play, how they're performing in practice, and then hopefully taking it to the preseason games and showing it. Just their play overall.
You saw Trevor Lawrence very early into his career, and he struggled in that game. But, what do you see now, 3 years later, that makes him different?
Yeah, he's highly talented. He's got a big arm, really good scrambler. He's fast when he pulls it down and runs, can make every throw. I think he does a good job running their offense. You can feel that, it's his third year there now with that coaching staff, so there's familiarity. They do some audibling. He's got a good command of that. I just think he's a really good player, both from a talent standpoint and quarterback intangibles.